Hello and welcome to this new section on defining requirements in this course, Master in Business Analysis, and the first lecture of that. So, in this section, we will give you an in-depth view of how to define the requirements. And there are three things we will cover in this section over many lectures. One is how to translate the business needs that we've identified in the first section into clear and actionable requirements, which can then serve as the base for developing the right solution. And in doing that, there are many things you need to do, like documenting use cases, user stories, business process model. And what we will talk about is how to do that so that they are clear, unambiguous, comprehensive, and as per the stakeholders' expectation. And last lecture of this section, we will give you an example of how did one company do this definition of requirement. So let's take a look at in this lecture and begin to take a look at some parts of how to translate business needs into clear and actionable requirements. So how do you think you can translate business needs into clear and actionable requirements and develop solutions and also document requirements using variety of things that we have talked about? So let's take a look at a structured process to achieve this as we go forward now. So what you need to do is, obviously the starting point is understanding the business needs, and we have covered in a lot of detail. Uh, we will only summarize this as we go forward in the next slide. And then you need to analyze and document the needs, all right? And then you need to define the requirements where the core of this section will start coming in. We will also show some analytical techniques in analysis and needs documentation. Then you need to validate the requirements that you have gathered and collected and then communicate these requirements to all the stakeholders. So these are the 5 steps. Let's take a look at each of these steps, starting with summarizing and understanding the business needs. Right, so let's do that. The first thing, as we saw in the first set of lectures in the section 1, was to understand the business needs, and we covered that in a lot of details. Let's quickly summarize that here, because that is the starting point of defining requirements, right? So you need to start by conducting stakeholder interview, as we saw there, where you need to engage with key stakeholders to understand their goals, pain points, and expectations. And in that process, to gather requirements and comprehensive insights, what is definitely very useful is to use open-ended questions instead of closed-ended questions. Then you need to review the existing documentation as we have covered earlier, in which you analyze the current process documentation, business plans, and performance reports. And basically, with that, you figure out the gaps and requirements of the business as of now. Also, you can hold workshops, and your role is basically, as we saw earlier, is to facilitate workshops with cross-functional teams to brainstorm and prioritize these business needs. So that's how you have learned how to understand the business needs, as we did in the one of the earlier sections. Then you need to analyze and document the business needs. And here there's more we can tell you in this section as well as in the coming lectures. This section, this lecture, and coming lectures. So how do you think you can analyze and document the needs? So there are many techniques that we talked about earlier. So one of the techniques is business analysis techniques, in which you can use techniques like SWOT analysis, strength, weaknesses, opportunities and threats analysis, and pest analysis. And also you can do and that will help you contextualize the business needs. Why are these needs the needs that you should work on? So it helps you contextualize your needs. Then you create the user stories and use cases, and in which you document requirements in the form of user stories or use cases, and you basically detail who, what, why of each requirement, and how that does that look. We will illustrate through you an example of a user story as we go forward in subsequent lectures, right? So what is next? So having looked at the starting of how to define the requirements, we will now look at the various business analysis techniques that we have mentioned in this lecture in the next lecture, starting with the SWOT analysis. So thank you so much for watching this first defining requirements lecture in this course, Master in Business Analysis. I hope you continue to learn new things, continue to enjoy, and I do look forward to see you again in the next lecture. Please feel free to message me if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer a question, and also download the PDF file to take a look at anything that is of specific interest to you.